a nice day to listen to some Doctor Who audio. What do we have? Oh, it's this. That's kind of disappointing. So yeah, anyway, hello and welcome back to another video on this channel. Now I really hope this to be a new series, something to be a bit, a bit newer, something a bit different, as if you would have seen my channel update video where I explain basically what's going on. I want to make this channel more Doctor Who orientated as well as sort of gaming and that sort of thing. So I want to be a dual YouTuber. Wow, I'm so original. So yeah, in the effort to try and make that happen, I'm going to try and do some Doctor Who reviews, so review audios, books, DVDs, that sort of thing. So it's going to be this sort of style where you sort of see me, I sort of talk about it, I'll probably flash some things up on screen, that sort of thing. It's pretty standard. I've got a weird setup as I always do, some books on top of some books, and I've got it rested against a piggy bank. But hey, please do be patient with me. This is the first time I've done something like this, so, and of course showing my face. Ooh, my goodness, I ain't done that in a while, so I haven't taken this decision lightly. But anyway, if you are new around here, please do consider subscribing. And do you know that according to YouTube statistics, stupid word, only 7.8% of you are actually subscribed. Wow, that's incredible. That means 92.8%. That's wrong. 92.2. Wow, and I do further maths. I'm a shocker. But anyway, only 92.2% of you are actually subscribed. And if we do the maths, which, as you know, I have, if all of you subscribed, I'd be on 400 subscribers. Let me just sink that in for a minute. That's a lot. So please do consider subscribing if you did enjoy. Now, without any further ado, of course, spoilers ahead, so I'll put up a spoiler warning. Who did that? It was probably... Oh, that's right, Mr. Puzzle. Yeah. I'll do a spoiler warning for you, just so you can, if you don't want to get spoiled for what happens, because we're going to go through characters, we're going to go through each individual story, and then, yeah, make an overall decision. And also probably look at the packaging, because I've got a bit of thinking about this. So, here we go, spoiler warning coming up now.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Right, so spoiler warning over. We're going to be looking at this, as I showed in the opening, and I did unbox this, so if you want to see what it looks inside, then please do go ahead and watch that instead, because that's more of an in-depth view of what it actually looks like and what I think about its design. But there are a few things that I want to show you about this. First of all, this really annoys me. If I go and just show you, if I open it up, it's different. It's backwards. It's literally backwards. And if any of you say, oh, why don't you just put it in the other way? It exposes the CDs, which, they're going to get damaged if I do that. So I'm not going to do that. So that means the logical thing would be to put it in this way, if I can do it. Yeah, put it with the spine facing out. But that turns out to be backwards, which is not a major thing, to be honest, but it's really annoying, actually. But anyway, enough about the packaging. Let's talk about the stories. So, story 1. Now I'm looking at this. So I'm going to be looking down at the... excuse me, I'm diseased. I'm going to be looking down at the CD, the outside, just so I can have something to look at. So I'll occasionally look up to camera, but if I'm ever looking down, it's because I'm looking at this. Which means that hopefully I've got a grey wall here, so hopefully I can project some images or something of something or another there. So that's the plan. Whether or not it'll come to fruition, that's why I'm sort of on this side over here, and hopefully put some images up here. But anyway, enough about how I'm going to do it. Let's get straight into it. So, the first story, End of the Line. Now, this story is basically a train is being ripped from time. So the whole plot of it is that the Doctor and Constance are on a train, supposedly with all the commuters, and they sort of get entangled with this plot by the Master. Yes, so you've got a Master, Valeyard, and Doctor story, which may sound great in total, but really the Doctor and the Valeyard don't meet in this story. So it's not great, and also this story's really boring. I have to say, I really don't like the first one. Nothing happens. Just nothing happens at all. It's literally like just the Doctor and Constance get on a train. They find out that the train is also at a second place in time, which is by itself a very interesting concept. The idea of having the same thing in two places at once. That's the fourth dimensional sort of analysis and ideas, which I think is actually kind of cool. That's thumbs up for that. So the idea is good. I like the concept of having the Master, Doctor, and Valeyard all together. That's good. But everything else, the characters are a bit wonky. I've got to be honest. They don't really stick out at all, which can be a really big problem for Big Finish when you don't have the visual elements. That can always be a problem, but the end of the line really it's really disappointing. Obviously, you're going to have to listen to it to find out what happens, because I won't spoil the ending or anything like that at all. You won't get that. It's just going to be an analysis of the general plot and that sort of thing. And I really do find this really boring. Nothing happens. They sort of wander about a bit, then they come back, and then they find out that somebody's been infected or something, and there's two people out there, and when it goes, but it doesn't go very often. It's a lot of walking about, not doing very much in the fog. So, end of the line, don't like it. The ideas are there, but the execution is quite poor. So, end of the line, I'm going to give maybe a 4 out of 10. So the next one is The Red House, which is a Doctor and Charlotte Pollard story, which immediately puts me at a disadvantage. Very simply because I haven't listened to very many of the Charlotte Pollard and 6th Doctor stuff. I've listened to practically all of this Charlie and 8th Doctor stuff, and that's fantastic. But the problem is, when you change Doctor, you change dynamic of how they met, and that's very clear and very evident, because when Charlie and the Valeyard meet, it's clear that Charlie isn't telling the Doctor everything, and the Valeyard threatens to do that, which, of course, I would know if I listened to their stuff in the main range, but I just haven't got around to it. To be honest, it's just not been something I've been interested in. But anyway, enough about that. The story itself is it's quite cliched because it's all about werewolves, and they call them werewolves, which that is shocking, I have to say. That's not good. When you call something a werewolf instead of a werewolf, no, not happening. Sorry, that's not okay. Okay, that's not okay. But anyway, the general plot is that the Doctor gets captured by the werewolves, and it's sort of like a First Doctor story, because the werewolves are the rebels, and the Doctor, when he finds out that they are the rebels and they're being oppressed, he decides, I'm going to help them, which is not bad in itself, but it can get rather repetitive. We've seen it on screen so many times. But anyway, the Doctor essentially helps out the rebels, which, okay, whatever, basically. But anyway, he helps out the rebels and overthrows the people in charge, which, to be honest, isn't. It's so repetitive that it's become so predictable. Yes, we know the Doctor's going to overthrow them. Yes, we know that the people are evil, but I guess it does have something going for it, that the people are trying to they are trying to manipulate or sort of change the nature of the natives, or back to how they were originally, because they sort of like devolved into this werewolf state, which is kind of interesting, but again, it doesn't really have much going for it. I think the acting is quite good in this one, though, to be fair. I think the dynamic between Charlotte and the Doctor is certainly an interesting one, and certainly something that I would be definitely invested to go and go into more detail. So I'd love to go ahead and do that. That's probably a good idea. But anyway, The Red House, I give probably a 6 out of 10. So now we're on to probably the best one. No. It is the best one by some distance. This is Stage Fright. Matt Fitton has done something fantastic. He has put Jago, Lightfoot and the 6th Doctor together, and Flip. Which, if you know me, which none of you will, but if you watch the most recent unboxing of mine, As of recording this, I'm still editing it, but if you've seen that, you'll know that I love the Doctor, or the Sixth Doctor, should I say, Jago and Lightfoot. I just think they are a fantastic duo. They play off each other so well. This idea of Victorian sort of colonialism and the right to mark down different areas of the world, and this rather gentlemanly, oh, I'm scared, ooh, and all that sort of thing, and it plays into their occupations a lot. So Jago comes into some money, and then we find out it's actually the Valeyard is using it to recreate the Doctor's deaths, which is certainly an interesting concept. It's very interesting because he sort of has this mind thing that he got from the Red House. So yeah, I should say, first of all, before we continue, all the stories are connected. So now connected not only by the Valeyard, but the events of they sort of lead into each other, which is, yeah, I can respect that. I always do enjoy an overarching theme. But anyway, stage fright, back to that. Yes, best one by far. And I just think that the problem is with this one is that we've got Flip. That means Flip has to do something, which means she does do something. She does do something, but the problem is it limits Jago and Lightfoot as well, and I'd rather it just be Jago, Lightfoot, and Six. I feel like that's so much better dynamic than with Flip. It's just, I would prefer it. She does stand up to her fears, and she does face her fears, which I think is it's quite an interesting, nice character arc there, really sort of developing her, but I'd just rather she wasn't there. I'd rather it just be Jago, Lightfoot, and Six. Anyway, that's only a minor gripe, to be honest, because everything else in it is pretty fantastic. Like, just the whole setting, the plot, characters coming back. We see Lisa Bauman reprise her role as Ellie Higson. That is just... and some other memorable faces as well that are just so fantastic to listen to. So therefore I give Stage Fright a 9 out of 10. So now we move on to the very, very last story in the Sixth Doctor's sort of story. It's a bit jumbled, but anyway, it's The Brink of Death by Nick Briggs, and you can tell it isn't written by Nick Briggs because it's got this weird sort of timey-wimey thing that only Moffat would come up with, really. So essentially what happens is that the Doctor and Mel sort of are in the TARDIS, and then all of a sudden something happens, and it's actually the Valeyard and the Doctor switch places. As the Valeyard, he switches the Valeyard, and the Valeyard was in the Matrix, and then the Doctor switches positions with him, which is it's certainly interesting. It's certainly an interesting thing, and the Doctor keeps getting reset over and over again. So he's got to try and convince Mel that he is the Doctor and that the Valeyard is not who he says he is. And before the time runs out, so he has to send a message back to himself to tell himself, don't go to a planet, I've forgotten what its name is, but let's go to Lacursha instead, which has the harmful radiation, which anybody would know, if you've ever seen the Sixth Doctor regeneration on screen, will know that Lacursha is the story, first Doctor story, the first Seventh Doctor story. Yeah, let's get that right. So that I think is really nice. It ties into the actual TV story, which I can really appreciate as well, and it sort of gives us this really quite nice send off. It's not the best story in here because Stage Fright is, but I think it's quite good as it really sort of pits the Valeyard and the Doctor up against each other, which I think is just, oh, it's so good. It's just such a good thing to have, is the Doctor and the Valeyard. They're supposed to be polar opposites, and I think this story really emphasises that, as the Valeyard is fixated on just wasting the Doctor's time, as he only has about 6 minutes. Then he gets reset, and then it's 5 minutes, gets reset, and there's 3 minutes. Oh, it's such a good idea. It's fan. I like it. I actually do like it. I think the last two in this set are really good. I really do. Although I'm a bit biased because I really do like Colin. I think he's got a really nice revival. But yeah, The Brink of Death is a good send-off. In fact, yeah, it is a good send-off. So I give The Brink of Death a 7 out of 10. Right, so that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. I may make some some animations and put them up on the screen behind me, or just in front of me, frankly, just to sort of illustrate these things to look at. When I'm not talking about story, you'll probably be looking at me. Anyway, so like I said, please do be patient with me. I am trying to do this in a more unique way, something that's, is going to be fun to look at and listen to, and excuse me, is going to be something that you would enjoy. If you do enjoy, please do let me know. Leave a like, comment, please. I just want feedback. Constructive feedback would be so helpful. Please, thank you. But before I go, I have to give you my final verdict on this set. I'm not a fan of this. It was a lot of money for not a lot of substance, to be fair. It's lacking something that's it just needs something else, which it just doesn't have. Which is rather disfortunate because I really like Colin. But Stage Fright and The Brink of Death are really good. So it probably is worth actually buying this set just for these two, to be honest. So yeah, I give this box set a total of 5 out of 10.